My name is Susan, and welcome to the Scent of Beauty. I thought I was going to do a part two on impression, but as I thought about it, I realized it's not impression that I wanted to discuss, it's expression. Looking through a viewmaster of another person's image of myself. What does that look like when an expressionist has painted a picture of me, a picture of you, and present it full length and say, this is who we are through their eyes and through their perception, this is how they perceive us to feel. What came to mind when I started to meditate on this idea was Sir Winston Churchill. I remember his 80th birthday. He was presented by the House of Commons and the House of Lords with a portrait that was painted by, I think his name is Graham Sutherland. Actually, that is his name, Graham Sutherland. That they commissioned to paint this picture of this great statement. When the picture was unveiled, it looked like an old, decrepit curmudgeon, a curmudgeon man, which looked nothing like the charismatic Sir Churchill, because the scent of beauty, again, if we look at the image of the scent of beauty, it's not her exterior that her beauty extends from. It really is from her psyche, from her mental world. And so Sir Winston Churchill hated the portrait. The portrait was intended to be hung up in the House of Parliament after Churchill's death. But how often have we hung up in our lives these portraits that others have painted that's inaccurate of our scent and who we are? How often have I allowed others to frame me and closed me in to an idea of how they see me, how they are, they're just painting their awareness onto my face, unto my being. And so often we allow others' idea to become the final authority on who we are. I think the reason why Sir Winston Churchill came to mind is because he reminded me of something that I always say to myself, and that is dignity is held by my personal conviction for myself, my standards of my standard of how I'm perceived, not what another person show me. It's basically what I believe about myself. Clementine Churchill's secretary, Grace Hamblin, uh, took the portrait and burned it away from Sir Churchill's home. She asked her brother to help her to move the portrait, and she burnt it. Mrs. Churchill uh, stated, and I quote, that, the painting, she saw the painting as not being the kind of heroic warrior statement kind of image she wanted to project of her husband. That the portrait, and it's funny to me, it's ironic that Mr. Sutherland is calling the picture a self portrait when in actuality Mr. Churchill didn't see himself in that portrait at all. Mrs. Churchill said something that I found I think it's a profound statement when she said, when his career, speaking about her husband, talking about her husband, when his career was no longer important, it was his legacy that counted. My legacy, your legacy. How is it going to be counted if I allow someone to put me up in the light of their truth? In World War II, Sir Churchill would not surrender to Nazi Germany. That's what he is historically known for. But also, this self portrait has cast this shadow over his bravery, his legacy. Whose expression am I living up to, or emotionally battling defeat? Because again, an expressionist, an artist that's an expressionist, um, delve more into the emotion. So, from that premise, where am I emotionally based on what I perceive someone that it's someone that we care about, the image that they have framed and place while we are alive, for us to continually see through their eyes, an image without our stories.